Drops like a fucking hammer. Like a hammerhead shark.
Does it? What's that from? I'm
I have
lost.
no freaking clue.
Oh.
I just made it up. It's just sounds very gangster. New
It
York
does.
Style.
Then where's Brent? He's been like in the bathroom for like half an hour.
I don't know. He left me a polo. He left 2 polos.
Hey guys, I know I said I was in the bathroom, but I'm actually in Canada, drinking a little bit of Canadian whiskey, so bye!
What the f?
Am I close enough, by the way?
Give me a test.
Test 1, 2.
No, you give me a test. Test 1, 2.
That's not a test.
Test 1, 2.
Yeah, you're fine.
I just want to see how long Mark tolerates me.
You ready?
Whenever you
ready? You ready? Ready? No, but I gotta.
He doesn't get the cheers.
Well, I just don't want you to forget again, and then John gets in this awkward scenario with me.
With what?
I hate you both. Clink, clank, clink, 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 clank, clink, 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 clank.
Touch me
Clink.
with that.
Hello and welcome to Happy Hour, the weekly tech and gaming news podcast on the Strange Gaming Network. I am your host, Brent the Jesterhead Metcalf. To my right,
Which one? John Pett, Handsome John.
and on my left,
The dispatcher, Mark Plover.
I don't know where I was going from there.
Well, you
I'm
stuck with the
sorry.
Brent name, so I didn't know if I was supposed to introduce you. I don't know what's going on.
This week, I will introduce our special guest. We are drinking whiskey sours. It is a combination of, we're using Eagle Rare whiskey in a comically large bottle form.
The more the merrier.
Mixed with some simple syrup and some lemon juice, garnished with a wonderful maraschino cherry. Very delicious. I think I like the kind of bite that it gives a little bit, but it's got enough simple syrup in it anyway to give you a nice sweet flavor to it.
Refreshing for such a warm day that it has been.
Yeah.
Exactly. Very humid day.
Yeah.
I broke a sweat going to lunch. That's how sad it was.
Kepler, unfortunately, that's not important. But do you know what is?
The important shit.
All right, first, I guess we're starting with me. I got to be a little selfish here. And talking about Google Assistant launching its first celebrity voice cameo for the Assistant, wide variety of commands you can actually give it, using John Legend's voice.
Who's that?
That's the guy on that TV show, isn't he? The voice. Or...
No, he's a singer.
Well, I
I'm
know he's
trying
a
to-
singer, but he's also on a TV show.
I think he plays piano too. I really don't know who it is though, but I think he's a singer and a piano
very
player.
talented.
I mean,
hope he
okay,
sings
I
while
could
he's
see
on
him
the
being
TV
a
show
piano
playing
player
piano.
because he's a singer. But anywho, it's definitely something that you can turn on and enable at any point. Apparently, you just have to, ask your Google Assistant device, your home device, your phone, whatever it is, and say, "Hey, G word, are we just ordinary people?"
Really? That's how you do it? I wondered how you activated it because I saw where it appears to be active.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much
am
it's
legend.
a small cameo, so it doesn't do a ton of commands.
So it's
that
not
kind of thing.
it's not a permanent thing. Like I can't make it fully become my Google Home.
Well, I mean, it'll do
Yeah,
probably most
well-
of the stuff like weather or whatnot.
They do say it's only for a limited time, but I mean, it's definitely something that you could do that I think would be kind of neat. But realistically, actually, what it is, it's an experiment that Google's doing with their DeepMind artificial intelligence system, anyway, where they had him record certain words and tones and things like that with his own voice, so that they can use their intelligence software to replicate his voice whenever he speaks, basically, or replicate him speaking anyway in a very natural tone and flow. Similar to the way that they did their initial voices anyway and have adapted to those over time, like the different types of female and male voices that they've got. So John Legend's the next step in them trying to, I guess, add to that.
How many are they going to be doing?
I don't know. They didn't really say.
If they don't do Morgan Freeman, I'm disappointed.
Well,
I was going to say, because everyone said we need to record tons of his voice and so we can replicate it, after he passes, that
I
kind of
know.
thing. Google, you can do this. You can do this, Google.
I want to say he was on Waze.
He was.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I think there's 2 people Google need to do this with: Morgan Freeman and Snoop Dogg. And we're set.
In Cartman.
Carmen would be good.
Snoop Dogg would be really cool. Honestly, the most interesting voice I ever had on a navigation system was George W. Bush.
Oh man.
That'd be awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, my favorite one was anytime you come up on a intersection where you're supposed to bear to one side, and he goes, Hey, in about 300 feet, bear to the right. Although I don't know what kind of bear it is. Maybe it's a black bear or a brown bear.
I like it.
Speaking of a bear, terrible, terrible, terrible browsers. Microsoft launches its first Chromium Edge build. So we had talked about this before, where Microsoft's Edge browser was supposed to be relaunching with Chromium under the hood, which is the engine that Google has built and made open source anyway for other systems to be able to integrate into their, or other companies to integrate into their browsers. And there's a few third-party browsers for Android and Linux and a few other things that have actually implemented the Chromium engine as it stands. Edge was supposed to do it because, well, building an engine or a web engine for yourself or for your own browser is kind of difficult. Like there's a lot of things to take into account here based on web standards and things you have to comply with W3C. So Chromium handles a lot of that for you, including the rendering and a bunch of other stuff, and as well as adhering to the standards anyway that are commonly used by, or that are set by W3C, World Wide Web Consortium, for those who don't know.
What makes that different than Google Chrome?
So Google Chrome is the wrapping application that uses the Chromium engine. And Chromium is basically the underlying system that takes in the HTML that you download from a remote server. It actually handles the request as well, but takes in the information from the HTML system and renders it onto the page. Like makes it something graphical and usable and colors it and styles it and everything like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So not even, well, and has room to be able to plug in for different JavaScript render engines and display engines and that kind of thing to be able to handle.
So it's almost like a
that kind
game
of stuff.
engine.
Sort
to
of.
a video game.
But for web. Yeah, but for your web browser. Basically, it just runs everything under the hood.
So it's just irony that it's called Chromium, or like Chrome doesn't use Chromium.
So Chromium has always been the engine name, and it's always been open source. So, for example, on Linux, before Google Chrome was actually a real thing on Linux, there was a browser called Chromium that had the Chrome logo, but in a blue and white fashion. That Chromium logo, or was called Chromium because it implemented the Chromium engine, but it wasn't actually an official Chrome browser from Google. Somebody else that was third party in the community had just sort of built it and maintained it from there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they just plugged it in and rebuilt Chrome in Linux. It was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Gave us the ability to use it whenever Google didn't officially support it. Talking about officially supporting things, FTC is holding a public workshop. I'm struggling with
You're
this.
doing great, buddy.
FTC is
They're
holding
very
a public workshop anyway regarding loot boxes come August 7th. August 7th. The FTC is holding a public workshop. Everyone, they want a public workshop to understand what your gripes and concerns are regarding loot boxes.
Bro, the FTC
Attending
won't let me
Counting
be.
its days.
No,
How much money we're making.
yeah, pretty much. But they want to understand, I guess, what the community concerns are. They want to get community and I guess official insight onto this. So their whole, like the point of this public workshop is to allow people to contribute their own opinions and their own concerns and issues, I guess, as far as this goes. So
My worry with this is that it's going to be the loudest or the most angry.
right, which means
And-
Right.
corporations are going to chime in on this as loudly as they can.
Well, not only corporations, but the angry parents. So you're just going to hear both sides, where you have a lot of people that are in the middle that are just like, it's really not nearly as big of a deal as you think it is.
Yeah.
No,
But
yeah,
then
I
you
agree.
have someone like the Prince Charles or whatever in London is trying to ban Fortnite because of the loot boxes and addictive gaming behavior.
Well, he's just trying to ban Fortnite as a whole, not specifically the loot boxes,
Yeah.
because the game is designed for, in his opinion, it's designed to be very addictive, and
Yeah.
he's also doing the same fight with social media. But to the FTC thing, at least to me, it should be very, like, just. They're like, hey, listen to us, but I don't think a lot's going to happen because a lot of people forget that like a loot box system has been around our whole lives. Our parents did them. They were called trading cards,
Yeah.
baseball cards.
Yeah.
So like these have always been around. No one's really made a big illegal deal.
I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. That's
So
actually
like
pretty
that's
interesting.
just the way it's always been. So I think the moment people start bridging this connection of like we don't have to let our kids spend all this money. It turns out like I actually did the whole thing with the video game
Wait,
radio.
you mean they can be responsible parents?
It's unheard of, I know, and you can tell your kid no. But or
What?
you can
That's a no word.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
or you can
That's why you say no
reward them
twice,
for
it
good
means yes.
things, you know, like kind of like it was when
negates
I
itself.
came up. It's just I don't know. I see certain applications for sure where loot box will be a problem. So like if I'm the FTC, of course it's not this black and white.
Right.
I'm more looking at specific games that are very pay to win or like or how Activision has a
yeah.
system built in to their games to where they try to match you with people to encourage you to spend money.
Yeah.
I think stuff like that should be frowned upon.
Well, there's an ethical.
But I
bias
think
that
the
needs to
loot
be looked at.
boxes as a whole, just looking at them very isolated, I think loot boxes are fine.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think one of the biggest examples has been Fortnite lately. You know, I mean, like we've been talking about, but the big concern and some of the lawsuits that have come up specifically is that they are rather predatory in nature, just because they don't. And don't get me wrong, this was a while ago. They disclosed this information now, but you didn't know what kind of chance you had of getting, you know, this super rare skin, you know, but come to find out it's like. Like
Yeah.
a 1/10,000th of a percent of getting it, you know, like, and your favorite streamer happens to get it because one, he plays the crap out of it. Two,
They send him a
they
code.
probably send it to him. Like,
Yeah, I
they
would
probably
be-
promote his account to do it. Like,
I would be interested to know if Fortnite's in China, because a lot of big games, when China's already done this, where they said you have to publicly announce your percentages.
Yeah.
And so that's when you saw things like League of Legends and CS:GO, you know, various Valve loot boxes things. That's when all these percentages became very public. And Fortnite's kind of always dodged it because the single player with the loot boxes is just very like under the radar, not a big problem. So
Well,
yeah.
that and it's all like just skin stuff. It's not pay to win.
That's only in the
That's-
multiplayer. In the single player, it's actually like good items, characters that can help
Oh,
influence the
okay.
game. The single player is the only one with loot boxes.
Well, that's all on you then, though.
Yeah, and the good thing about the single player is that you can do missions and stuff to earn the V-Bucks in game, so you don't even have to spend money on it. Now, granted, it'll take your kid a while, but the purpose is
Right,
they
but-
get rewarded for play.
you
The
know,
grind is there.
the common thought process is that the kid can be lazy if they want to and just, hey, I'm going to enter mom's credit card information here and you know, I'm
But
gonna
that's where the buck
pay for
stops.
V-Bucks.
It's your credit card.
Yeah,
no
and
one
that-
can
that's
force
where the,
you.
That's where the buck stops, but that's where the V-Buck starts.
Hey, I like it.
On the note of loot boxes, you had talked about them, you know, being, you know, for non gaming or non functional purposes and strictly for dress. Division 2.
Yeah, Division 2 has actually surprised me, and I didn't even know that this had even existed until I read this a couple days ago. That there is actually secret puzzles to solve within Division 2. That you can actually go and find. These puzzles are crazy, by the way. Like, they have specific messages that you have to decode, and then go to like one of them was you had to go and it gave you a riddle, and you had to go to a flagpole and salute it using an emote in order to get the next clue.
What?
Yeah, super cool. It was actually so secretive, only 4 people knew about it during the entire process of making the game, and they would just put them in there. A lot of them were actually figured out during the beta. Actually, it was either the beta or I think it was the open beta. A lot of I think there was like a 25 symbol. There was one that they said it took them like 10 days to figure out because it was so convoluted. Like, you had to shoot specific windows in a specific order at a building in order to get to. And basically, what happens is that an enemy would then appear, and you'd be able to get loot from them, like a high-end enemy. So it was
Interesting.
Yeah, super cool. I enjoyed that thoroughly with Division. I didn't realize how deep they were going to get with the puzzles. I didn't even know they existed. I'm going to go do that, actually, probably this weekend.
No, yeah, I think it's awesome because I think God of War did something similar where they had a bunch of Easter eggs hidden in there that took people forever to figure out.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
actually some games that Easter eggs, I think Grand Theft Auto was one of them. Like, they didn't even find that Easter egg till like a decade later or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's wild.
To be fair, on a map that big, I mean, it's pretty easy to just, I'm going to hide this here, and I'm going to hide this
Oh,
here,
it was like behind a
here,
bush.
here.
It was like a picture of like some of the programmers behind a bush that you had to like glitch your way back there. Like, yeah, it's nuts. And our good old companion cube here is kind of another one of those little Easter eggs that are like super beautiful and cute.
Yeah, man.
Really makes a game.
I think it's awesome when developers do that, add that little flair in there.
It just really gives a flair for the dramatic, and also a flair for the dramatic is a anime called Cowboy Bebop, and it is my probably top 3 tiered animes that I've enjoyed throughout my entire life. It holds a special part in my soul, and now they're making a live action, and they've just given out the actors and actresses, the casting. I'm excited and kind of perturbed at the same time. We got John Cho as Spike, which I'm totally cool with. I think he will rock it out because he's shown to be athletic in Star Trek, and I think that he could easily have the fighting style that Spike would have. The only one that I'm kind of worried about is actually Mustafa Shakir, When I first heard the character that we played at Bushmaster in second season of Luke Cage, or third, I think it's second. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to, just because of this. I thought they were originally talking about the person that played Luke Cage. I want to say his last name was Colton. I can't be totally certain right now. What I thought would have played a much better Jet, but I'm gonna give this guy a chance and watch the second season of Luke Cage to see if I can get a feel for it. And then we also have Danielle Pineda from Jurassic Park: Lost World. She, I think she'll actually play a pretty good Faye Valentine. I'm super excited to hear that. There's another guy, Alan, that is playing I'm assuming that he's going to be in here. I don't know if they're going to make him the main baddie or if he's just going to be a part of it, to be Lucius, or Vicious, I mean. Lucius. I have other things on my mind. But I'm not too worried about him. Even though he was the main overarching villain, he was actually a super minimal part of the entire show, to me. He was a big part of Spike's, storyline, but in the massive storyline, he's actually really tiny, which I kind of like.
Interesting.
I haven't seen. I've been seeing where animes are getting these live actions recently.
Yeah.
Have they been going well, or are you worried about that?
Ghost in the Shell movie that starred Scarlett Johansson, I thought was actually done very well. I'm a huge Ghost in the Shell fan, and the way that they did everything, I felt like they respected a lot of the storyline, the characters themselves, and kind of really kept to the roots of what it was, where we've also had super failures like Death Note on Netflix. That was god freaking awful. My god. And they had William Dafoe. How do you mess that up, right? And he played his character perfectly, but not so much for the rest of the show.
Did you say it was going to be a movie or a TV show?
This was going to be, I think, a movie. Oh my god, is it a movie or a TV show? I don't remember. I need to find out. Yeah, you did.
Live action series. It's a
series. Okay, so it's a series.
I'm waiting for the Trigun one. That's one of the animes close to my heart.
Yes. Did you read the manga?
No, I've not ever read a manga. So my anime is purely watching on TV, and I've recently got back into it. Okay. So Hunter x Hunter, I finished not too long ago.
Is it Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter?
So I hear it both ways, and it's one of those things where I kind of unintentionally joined the cult because I kept hearing it called Hunter x Hunter, but I called it Hunter x Hunter forever. And then My Hero Academia, love that. I'm in that right now.
Yeah, I would totally be down with a Trigun. I'm super excited to see what people, especially with Netflix money, what can do. But another thing that excites me that's coming that is just enthralling is Borderlands 3. And we're talking about multiplayer right now. And we're talking about multiplayer on a cross-platform possibility here. Now, we don't know if this is just cross-platform for Xbox and PC, which would make sense because we're not getting anything from Gearbox about whether PlayStation's going to play nice about this or not. I'm sure that they're in talks about it and they're trying to get it to work, but I'm sure PlayStation's actually giving some backlash saying, I don't know about that. So we'll find out what happens in the end, but it's not confirmed, but there are rumors going about right now.
And to go along with that, which I don't know that I'm necessarily for, is along with that announcement, they also said that when you play cooperatively with people, whereas in the previous games you kind of had to compete and share loot and pass it back and forth, this one you will not have to compete for loot.
So it's like Division now, where everybody gets loot and you get your own loot.
Or even what's the BR I'm thinking of right now?
Apex Legends?
No, that just changed that allows you to. Well, I guess Apex does it too, where you can anybody can pick up, I guess, the same loot.
Realm Royale. Everyone has their own chest. So I'm against that because for the reason of I think it takes away a lot of the enjoyment, and I think you hit this Anthem effect. I'm on a Anthem hate train. I brought Anthem to this. It's you get this Anthem effect to where everyone just progresses so fast. Whereas right now, for the Strange Game of the Month, we're doing Borderlands. So we're playing through Borderlands 2 together as a group, and it's just it's one of those awesome moments where it's the last time we played, Brandon stumbled upon a rocket launcher, and he's like, Kyle, get over here. If you don't want it, I'm taking it. And you just don't get those moments when it's shared. It's just depending on how you do it, if everyone turns in a quest and everyone gets a gun, you're like, all right, guys, like I'm the fire guy. Who got the highest stat one? Give it here. I'll trade you.
Right,
Or like,
yeah, even then, like, okay, I'm playing as Siren, guys. Okay, if you have any SMGs, let me know because I'm the one who needs them. That kind of stuff.
yeah. So like you're constantly communicating, whereas now it's just like, oh, I'm Siren, and like maybe they tailor the gear drops towards like you're playing Siren, you get more SMGs.
See,
I think the game progresses fast.
I would almost feel like they would dedicate that kind of loot then to just that character if you're playing them, like because it doesn't make sense if you pick up loot and the other person can also pick up loot and the other person can also pick up loot. Why would they give you, like a sniper and an assault rifle and a bunch of other things that don't matter to your class?
Probably to encourage you to play other characters and not like feel like you have to grind each time. You can like come in with your character gear.
But I mean, you're playing through on that class, like. Doesn't make sense for them to hand you an assault rifle. It's not like you carry that assault rifle to the other class when you restart.
It depends on how they do the loot system, because in Division, even though you get your own loot, you can still share it for a short amount of time as long as the people that are in your group were playing with you when you got that piece of loot.
Yes.
So it attaches it to them. So if they do the same thing, it's like getting twice the amount of loot and gives you twice the amount of options to be able to play around, and everyone can be happy, and
That's
you can
fair.
just go forth and lay waste.
It's more than double. It'd be more like 4 times, but sure.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
With the 4-player squads. Although, probably the biggest note on this is the initial launch is going to be exclusively
For
on
Epic
the,
Games.
on the Epic Store.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which I am super for, because so Travis and I have been, my buddy Travis and I have been like super into Borderlands since like it's the first game came out anyway. We played the first one through like 4 or 5 times.
Dang. That's love.
No, a lot less. Did you say low?
No, I said that's love.
Oh, I think you said that's low, and I was like, boy. No. Much less for number 2 in the pre-sequel, but I'm super in support of this. So, like, my buddy Travis and I were like already talking about buying this, that kind of thing. And Travis was like, I don't know, like, should we wait till the Steam store comes out? And with all the articles we've done about Epic and how much they're helping indie games, I said, no. I said, we're buying this game from Epic. I said, because I want to support that store. I agree with everything that they're doing, so I want to put my money and my support behind it.
Man, you put your foot down on that one, huh?
It's one of those things where
I like it.
I mean, they're doing great. They're doing great things for indie developers, and I want to see that continue.
I'd say I'm in the exact opposite boat of you.
Really?
That's exactly why I will not buy it on PC.
Oh wow!
In the fact that
Division.
I think that and our buddy, former podcast member Dylan, he did an excellent tweet
Rest
on
in
this
peace.
that you should show on here if you can remember to do that. Where it's just a huge greedy move. In the fact of like 2K is basically doing it in a way to where like they're trying to argue or Epic is trying to argue for the developer, but they're paying for these deals. It's not that Gearbox and 2K wanted to come to this. Epic just like super throws money. They're like, hey, we're for the developers. We're going to pay you to come to us. Whereas like Dylan's standpoint is more of which I agree with. I can get behind. Is more of like, if you're really for the developers are going to come to you. You don't need to buy them. You don't need to do these jaded moves, and you're not going to make it timed for 6 months, because that shows that you as the publisher also don't want to lose out on the Steam money that's coming. So you're really not for the developer. You're not like putting your foot down. I think that it's crappy. I think that if you already have so much in the Steam, you're already showing you want to go back so you can be a part of the Steam sales, get that monetary value. But now you've created this huge issue where you are just getting destroyed by the community. The whole community is in like complete uproar about this. You take one of these games that's super hyped. We've been waiting like 7 years for it, and you put such a negative taste in people's mouths because you're like, hey, we're coming out on like September 13th, I think it is. It's going to be a timed exclusive on PC for 6 months, but you can buy it on PlayStation and Xbox and the Epic Store. Nobody wants to do that because like there's so many benefits to to Steam, that Epic does not have.
Right.
They're just like, I don't know.
A solution for this. Play it on PlayStation.
That's
or
exactly,
Xbox.
that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy it on console.
Yeah.
I'm not going to support it on Epic Store because if Epic was truly like doing their whole for the developer thing, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
But now there's rumors in the mail. That's like another topic, kind of getting off this. But like even Red Dead Redemption 2, which has been for a long time wondering if it's ever coming to PC. There's rumors in the mill that Epic is about to pay for the Red Dead Redemption 2 exclusive PC. So it's not going to be on Steam. It's only going to be on the Epic Store.
Interesting.
So they're throwing a lot of money at it, which, I'm all for the competition if it's natural, but then you have situations like
what's going does support the developer much more directly, though.
Like, I couldn't imagine if PlayStation was like, okay, So there's multiple stores now on this console, and you might not be able to buy it on this console. It might actually switch over to Xbox, and you won't ever be able to do it or something. That would infuriate me personally. So I totally get where you're coming from.
But you have a situation right now where Steam is really feeling a big brunt of this backlash for no reason, is because you have a game like Borderlands 2. All the Borderlands have been hit. Borderlands 2, the Handsome Jack collection, the pre-sequel, Borderlands 1 Game of the Year. They're getting super review bombed, which is basically like the community's going in, they're hitting it with these negatives. So Steam is having to react in this. It's the first time Steam has had to like remove negative comments from a game because there's something...
They're just unrelated.
Yeah, so they created a new section called Off Topic. I think it's called Off Topic. Off Topic review, and that's what they. So any review that came in on all the Borderlands games after April 3rd is now in this Off Topic thing. So like because they tanked the negative review, it's something like 2,300 negative reviews just flooded in after that announcement of people just saying like, "Hey, this game's really awesome, but I can't recommend it because the series is exclusive to another platform."
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So my thing, I guess, is. They're focusing more. These reviewers seem like they may be focusing more on the fact that it's not coming to Steam, which is their preferred platform. But I don't think they realize how much. First off, how much more money goes from what you purchase on the Epic Store to the developers, to the publishers, to all of them. You know, that kind of thing.
It's abusing the review system towards it's not true anymore. It totally defeats the purpose of the review system.
But those people to me seem like they're on the Steam platform, so of course they want it to be on the Steam platform, and I get that. You know, unified platforms, what we've always talked about, you know, is kind of a big hindrance in the PC space specifically. But realistically,
it's just something to where it makes you look weak. You know, like you have to pay for it. Sony, there's no reason Sony, who's in the lead, needs to pay for these exclusives, which they're doing now. It makes them just look weak. It makes them look like they're losing when they're winning.
They own the studios, to be fair.
Well, I mean, but they're paying other studios to be exclusive. They like pigeonholed Microsoft for a long time. That's why Microsoft was so frowned upon for a while, because Microsoft would hurl money at these timed exclusives.
Yeah.
So they could be like, hey, please, God, buy something on our console. Because they just have to hemorrhage money into it.
Well, they're hoping it was going to drive console sales too, like Tomb Raider, for instance.
Although, to be fair, hemorrhaging money into some of these studios is the only way that you're going to get them to publish on the Epic Store. Because realistically, everyone's going to be like, no, Steam has a bigger traffic traffic percentage because you only have maybe 10% of their traffic. So why does it even make sense for us to publish on the Epic Store?
Right. So, but if your thing is like, I'm just going to be about the developer and give you more money, then that's what you're about. And you let developers come to you and say, hey, we want to work with you so we can make more money. You don't say, hey, I want you to make more money. Can I buy you, please?
Well, okay.
And so what really got me going about it was the head of Gearbox hops on Twitter. You know, I think he's like the CEO or something. His name's Randy Pitchford. So he hops in there and he says, and I quote, ironically, that this misuse is possible and that Steam has no interest in correcting this, which they have made efforts to correct, makes me kind of happy about 2K's decision, because it was fully 2K's decision, not Gearbox. It makes me want to reconsider Gearbox's publishing current posture on the platform, which to me makes it sound like he wants to, because of the way the Steam review bomb is coming, he wants to say, cool, we're going to all in Epic. But then a fan replies and says, this would not have happened if there wasn't an exclusivity deal. You, 2K, or whoever's responsible brought it upon themselves, and it is their fault for everyone being pissed off. And then the CEO responds, I wouldn't hit you if you didn't deserve it. This is in quotes. It's your fault I'm not hitting you. WTF is wrong with you and the victim blaming bullshit. Kindly f*** off, troll.
Jesus. There you go.
You're the CEO. Like, that's not how you talk to your fans, because people are going to be criticizing.
Well, no, he's being honest with them, and I think he should be honest, because he's like, no, this isn't fair. There was a business decision that was made. I do think it's kind of cowardly that he stood behind 2K and was like, hey, you know, we didn't have anything to do with this. Yeah. If you're going to have a stand and you're going to talk about it, have a position.
Right.
Don't sit there and take the neutral zone and be like, I'm Switzerland, you can't touch me. Yeah. No. You just put your face out there. It's good. You might get clocked, and that's what that kid did. And I think that he either needs to understand what he's doing or not doing. But I do appreciate him saying, "No, that's not fair. This is how I look at it." And he's not wrong. I mean, there was a decision that was made that was monetary. These guys are there for profit. And the Epic Store is going to maximize that. And he's like, how are you going to blame me for doing that?
But I think it's just going to hurt him in the long run, personally. Because I think not as many people are going to buy it on Epic, and I think that more sales are going to go to the Xbox and the PlayStation, which then gives them a bit less money anyway. And then also the people that do wait on Steam, realistically, I don't have all the details on this, but I was talking to Dylan just a bit about it earlier. And something about like if you go to Best Buy and you buy a Steam card with like the key and you buy the game that way, then Steam doesn't get any money for it. They get very little, if anything, by using that Steam card. And more of it then goes to the developer. So it's one of those things where like the percentages that Steam even makes off them is kind of dependent on how you choose to purchase from Steam.
Interesting.
It's some article he read about that. It was super weird. I didn't understand it.
I'll have to look into that.
But that's like another thing. I don't know. I'm against the Epic Store paying for deals. If this was a natural thing that happened, totally for it. That's why in the beginning I was for the Epic Store. But I'm not for the keep buying.
It didn't work for Xbox, but I think that it definitely can work in this junction. Though there's nothing stopping you from going to the Epic Store and doing this. What's the problem with it? What is about the Epic Store that you do not like?
I mean,
just to play this game that you want to play.
There's really not a lot going for it. I mean, it's like, it's kind of one of those things that's like half baked right now. Maybe it eventually grows into something. But
so is it an issue where like you're not going to have communication?
That's part of it growing. But the problem is if you sit and continue with that kind of mentality, then it's sort of okay. Well, Steam's just going to continue to be the monopoly here because they have the most established system and everybody's on it and every game publishes to it.
If there's one person I'm down for that, it's Steam, because like we don't see the Epic Store. The Epic Store gives you one game a month, but even right now the Epic Store is not doing big deals. Steam is continuously giving you. We just got a $250 collection of games for $15, or like so. It's like that's Steam. Epic's never going to do that. Yeah, it's 6 months, but
I'm curious to know if that's Steam or if that's the game publisher that's doing that though.
I believe it's Steam, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you
Let's
that.
put it this way. If people speak with their wallet and it actually does hurt them, like it did with Xbox, people didn't go buy an Xbox to play Tomb Raider. Right? That's why it was considered like a bad deal. Well, I mean, the same thing can happen with the Epic Store and Borderlands 3, and speak with your wallet and utilize capitalism at your best and speak for yourself. And I also agree with you. We're better for the developer. We've always talked about more money going to the developer. Yeah, I mean, Epic's going to make more of a profit off of this, doing what they're doing. They're not dumb. I mean, they're there to make money. But at the same time, this is capitalism.
Yeah, I understand it's a business thing. I'm not for the whole like we want to be about the developer after we buy you. So like we can say we're more for the developer. It's to each their own. I appreciate both sides.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I'm at the same way. I'm in a conundrum because I'm like,
it's one of those things where like I understand your thing. You being a developer, obviously. So like, it's cool to take care of the developer. I'm also for that, but I just wish they could go about it in a better way.
Oh yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like exclusives outside of owning the actual the team developing the game is kind of like almost crappy. It's just a really poopy way of trying to get views or console breaks or even monetary benefit.
Do you know what's not crappy though?
What?
An esports training facility from GameStop.
Bro, I'm hyped. It's crazy. So it's one of those things, man. Like GameStop of all people, bro. GameStop back against the wall.
Yo, they needed to pivot. This is definitely the way to do it.
GameStop dying.
Definitely not something I ever saw coming.
They said, "Hey, hold up, stop this bull. Let's go into the different world. Let's go into the esports world." You like I did that? So basically what they're doing is they are partnering with various esports orgs. The main ones as of right now, from my understanding, being Complexity, who is owned by Jerry Jones, who owns the Dallas Cowboys. So they're building on the same like property land. It's 11,000 square foot training facility for these pro players to be able to go and practice, hang out, do meet and greets, signing, all this other stuff. Pretty much anything they want to do. But then also GameStop is partnering with other esports brands. The main ones being Envious, who in the Overwatch League owns Dallas Fuel. And then probably the biggest, it's between two people, but I would argue the biggest esport brand of all time, Optic Gaming.
Wow.
They signed with GameStop, partnered with them, as well as their Overwatch League team, the Houston Outlaws.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that they are super going into possibly convert their stores into like maybe they close some stores down, but they're already going out of business. So like, cool, we can accept that. May convert these stores into like training facilities where they can host esport events. They can do this stuff and super all in on that.
Like I talked about this a long time ago.
Yeah.
That they reutilized their stores for gaming purposes and to get people to buy games
Tournaments,
while
all
they're
kinds of
doing
stuff.
tournaments or card games. Like, I don't know.
Which
That's
is wild
crazy.
for me because it's opening. This 11,000 square foot thing is supposed to open in May.
That's
and
a
it's,
lot of space.
yeah, bro, and it's in Texas of all places, bro. It's like another reason I need to move to Texas because like Texas is just becoming the like infrastructure of esports where like everything is growing.
It's becoming
and
an
prospering.
infrastructure of gaming too, in general.
Yeah, and it's wild to see that GameStop of all people just like out of the blue, like, guys, we're kind of screwed. Like, what are we gonna do here? Esports, bro. Let's go all in.
After
Yeah.
a $700 million deficit last year, I kind of gotta make some.
You know
of
what?
that back.
If no one will buy you for your games, people gonna buy you for your esports stuff because that stuff's still growing. And if you can hold more tournaments and like events in various places, I mean, just the retail land space alone, you know, probably outside of malls because malls are kind of dying, but like just like there's a GameStop pretty much across the street from every single Walmart, so you have access to tons of people.
Yeah.
You can advertise, you can book these tournaments. Kids are gonna be like, I'm awesome at Smash Bros. I'm gonna go over there and compete. Cool.
Yeah.
But they want to also like foster in like amateurs, like pro-ams, am pros, whatever the term is.
Yeah.
I'm blanking. To go in and then they can like train with these professional players, learn from them, grasp, and then develop into professional players.
The whole thing sounds dope. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, it's one of those things where like, please God, get me in contact with somebody to hire me because like I'm in it. I'm in it to win it, bro, from start to finish.
Sounds like a really cool concept. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
this is where recruiters, you know, for esports can actually become a thing. You know,
Yeah.
I need to meet them for sure.
Be a recruiter. Get in it. Ground floor.
I want to be in it. I don't want to recruit people to go in there. I'm in it.
You can
Okay,
do both.
I could.
would you want to be in the new Joker teaser?
What do I want to be in the new Joker teaser?
I don't know about
Out
that. A
of
lot
this
people
guy's
probably died
way.
in that.
That's what I want to be.
Tell us about the Joker teaser.
Bro, so it dropped on April 3rd. It's slated right now for an October release. It is directed by Todd Phillips, who is best known for the Hangover series.
Ooh.
And Due Date, I think, is his other really big one. In it is, I'm so bad at his name, I had to write it down. Joaquin Phoenix is the Joker. He is best known for Walk the Line, the movie Her, and Gladiator.
Interesting. Okay.
So
Yeah.
he's the Joker. He's like the main guy. So I think Robert De Niro's in it, if I remember correctly, and then like a slew of other big names. But it's basically this kind of like psychological thriller in a way, where the Joker is this failed comedian who's like, based off the trailer, he's constantly getting bullied, shoved around, picked on. You know, he just wants to bring a smile to the world's face, and then he just like slowly corrupts and becomes this monstrous villain.
It shows him as like he is just like bleeding out. And like mentally, like he's just running thin, and he's even got a loved one. I don't know if it's a wife or if it's a mom.
I think it's his mom.
Yeah, I would say she looked a little bit older, but I didn't want to be
Yeah.
presumptuous at the same time.
Interesting.
But he's got like a super close relationship to his mom. So like there's some super already just in the trailer, there's some super good scenes in there. This is really kind of intended to be like DC's first kind of step away from their extended universe, where like this is there, but
Yeah.
it's like going to be its own independent thing. I'm really excited for it. Honestly, I was skeptical of it until I saw the trailer, and I think that what it's going to do is I think it's going to draw a lot of imagery to like. And at least if this is how I feel from the trailers, it's going to really highlight the issues of bullying and
Yeah.
the psychological effects it can have on people.
Interesting. Okay.
Because this guy is like, he's just someone where like, he's got one of those jobs where like you spin a sign or whatever. I don't know what they're called, but like he's out there spinning a sign. Like,
Advertising specialists.
yeah, someone comes and like pushes him
Beautiful
over and like
put.
takes his sign and runs off. He's like in a subway just laughing, and someone's, you know, coming up calling him a freak. Like, what are you laughing at? And like pushing him around.
Yeah.
So it really seems like he's going to emphasize hard on bullying.
Interesting.
And
okay.
then just like the negative repercussions that can come from bullying, I think would be like an underlying meaning there.
That'd be
Well,
really
like,
cool.
there's always been this level of like everybody here is probably crazy, but it's something that you kind of like put in the back of your head because it's Batman in the past, and this seems like it's definitely trying to focus on the psychological aspect, as in like bringing it to the forefront, not really in the background, but almost the main character itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also from my understanding is they don't really do a backstory for Joker anywhere. There's like one iteration of it out there. So it's like cool that this, you know, they're going to take this step and be like, this is our version of how
Yeah.
the Joker came to be. Because it's like before Batman, you don't have to worry about that. You're just
Right.
like, this is cool. Let's
Solely
see how it
about
goes.
this kid's life basically as he grows up.
Yep.
That's awesome. All right. Well, link for that will be in the description above. I guess I got to be Brent since he's not here.
The comments above.
You don't
Or
have
does
to
he
be
do the
Brent.
description above?
No one has to be Brent. That's the joke.
Leave a comment in the description above. Below. Well, I guess with that ends
The important
shit. We're on it.
I'm so much better than Brent.
Get on it. Get on it.
So with that, I guess we'll roll right on into our tots.
Tater tots, bro. I love tater tots. Where they at, man?
That's not where John's brain went. John, give us
Already tell me where my brain goes.
give us the tots.
All right. So let me pull it up real quick. As I want to.
Topic of the show.
Yes, this is the topic of the show.
Tater tots.
There's that too. I'm
Toys for
actually kind of
tots.
hungry. I don't know why I shouldn't be. So, there is a
My brain went real
Facebook is asking for users for their email passwords.
Why?
Exactly. At what point in time do you feel?
What
like
do you
this is
What do you mean they're asking for the email passwords? Like when I'm recovering my account info?
No,
or?
as in you are literally signing in so they can sign in for you and basically authenticate for you through your email.
Typing the password into your email account.
Yeah.
So kind of like LastPass or like the Google
Kind of,
security
but
thing?
except Facebook is all up
Right.
in your LastPass. Like LastPass, I mean.
Yeah.
And it's a little unnerving that the fact that on an ethical issue on where we're going on how far people have taken screenshots of this, so this is definitely real. It's taking me to a level of what are people willing to part with security and privacy wise for these simple niceties of not having to authenticate yourself or going into your email. It does it for you. And the ethical guidelines at which these people like Facebook or any other social media or any other, it could be Epic Games, it could be anybody. At what point in time are they asking too much? And now they do give you the option to not utilize this type, but it's hidden. You had to go into help and support and then go and search for it in order to use text message verification or bypass the email password setup.
So I've not signed into Facebook in a while, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, but is it something to where if I go to my computer and I launch Facebook, it will log me out or be like, hey, do you want us to remember your password?
No. This is your email password. The
Yeah.
thing you would use to recover your
So,
password from Facebook.
I don't even know that password, so I'm impressed that they do.
Well, no, so the purpose is for them to be able to automatically validate who you are, validate that email address. So
By going into it, though.
right, which I don't understand. Cause
Okay, so it's not my Facebook account. It's my Facebook account is still there, but my email that I use to register, they want that password.
right.
Yes.
to sign into your Google account, your Gmail account, and automatically authenticate who you are based on verifying whenever they send the email there that you have the correct password to that email.
Now,
address.
there's a lot of things that go on with this. That means they have your contact list, who you know, what your capacity is for your job.
To clarify,
or-
potential.
Yeah, potential. Whether or not they actually delved into this information, I don't know. Or whether they actually did anything with it, I do not know. But there is a lot of information that passes through an email that is super important. It could be anything from social security numbers to birth dates to stuff that you just don't want anybody else to know.
Well,
Maybe they're dick pics, and all of a sudden Facebook has a leak, and they go in through your email through Facebook through this authentication process to be able to access your email. I don't know how computers work like you guys do.
I see it's going to be a lot of an advertising thing.
Yeah,
and
that
they're going to
too.
see your order history and they're going to know what ads to promote to you.
I just don't want
Stuff
my
like
dick
that.
pics to leak, man.
As far as an ethical thing, is it really unethical if you opt into it?
So here's the problem. Them asking for your email password is one of the most notorious phishing scams that are
Yeah.
out there on the internet. Like,
How are you supposed to
So
tell
did
the difference?
did Facebook confirm this?
yes, a Facebook spokesperson
And they stopped
confirmed
the
it.
use of it.
Right. It first broke whenever a guy with the named eSushi, his handle is original eSushi, tweets out, says, "Hey, at Facebook, demanding the secret password of a personal account of your users for verification or any other kind is a horrible idea from an InfoSec information security standpoint or point of view. By going down that road, you're practically phishing for passwords that you're not supposed to know."
Yeah.
And that's a very specific thing that they are not supposed to know your email password because of a separation of security concerns. So one of the
If Facebook
things,
has access to the email that provides it to be able to change the password,
right? Now,
you just lose your account on one.
the Facebook spokesperson did come out and say we do not store those passwords. It's merely done for like they sign you in one time, dispose of the password, and then they get an OAuth token, which is an authorization token for them to be able to hit your email account. But they can keep that token alive if they really want to, over and over and over again. Which realistically, there's other ways that they could go about that instead of asking you for your password anyway. Like Google has SSO or single sign-on, which allows them to go to a link to your email account. You click allow. Go to any other site anyway that has sign in with Google, or even sign in with Facebook, for example.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where it takes you to your Facebook account, yes, allow, that kind of thing, and it takes you back to the site and signs you in.
Yeah.
They could do that, but now, granted, that doesn't work for all email accounts. Like for anything that's not, one of the major ones like Google or Microsoft or Yahoo or something like that. But it's just a giant security hole for them to even ask for your password, because first off, if Facebook's officially asking for your password, what's to stop another site that fakes itself as Facebook to ask for a password and for you to now think it's legitimate?
Yep.
I agree with that.
I mean, especially for people who don't know to look in the address bar and specifically look for the URL and the verification thing for the SSL certificate to know, yes, I'm properly on Facebook.com.
I'm glad that someone actually pointed this out and was actually kind of scared about this and really was like pushing hard, saying, no, this isn't right. This is like beyond what you should be asking for. What kind of securities do we have to stop them from demanding it at this point?
You may have mentioned this, but you said you do not opt into it?
No.
So it was just forced. It's gone now, right?
Yeah, it's gone. As far as I know, it's not available anymore.
Well, they have
but in order to
it.
opt out of it, it was hidden. You'd have to go into the help and support tab and then go and find it.
I'm trying to take like the devil advocate stance. If I'm Facebook,
I appreciate
everyone argues convenience, and now if it's something you had to opt in, that's a little different, but you didn't opt in. So, but I mean,
it starts asking you for the information straight up, basically.
Yeah. So I think that is a little sketch. Whatever. Maybe Facebook dies a little bit. I'm down. So.
I mean, let's be real. They're not going to. I mean, they're sort of the world's biggest player on social media. So, I mean, they own Instagram.
Yeah. And if Facebook dies, it takes over Instagram. Hey, hello, we're still here.
Yeah, exactly. Or better yet, they'll just come up with another brand under a different name and you'll just migrate to that.
But the problem is we've seen multiple companies not handle things well. PlayStation, they got hacked. Didn't handle
Twice.
It well. Multiple credit card companies getting, not credit card companies, but multiple companies like Home Depot, Target, Walmart,
or your
hacked,
or your
not handling it well, or telling you at all.
Credit score company, what is it? Equifax has been hacked like 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah,
we literally have a list. 1 of 7 has already been released of millions of unhashed email passwords.
I'll do you one better. The federal government's Office of Personnel Management (OPM) was hacked and released all kinds of addresses and because you have to do a 10-year history on yourself whenever you sign in, and OPM manages that information. They got hacked and 10 years worth of information of people's lives, mine included. I only know because they gave me like 5 or 10 free years of identity protection because my social security number, my addresses, my name,
but your social security,
everything.
your name, your social security number do not change, and to find out where you live with that information will not be hard.
Yeah.
This is my question. After we've kind of really hashed out what is at stake here, at what point in time have we gone too far with the lack of security that there's no going back? At what point in time are we not going to be able to say, I have secure information? We're going to have to find a different system to use to keep people from literally just committing fraud on a rampant level.
Well, that's supposedly already in the works still.
Yeah, it has to be.
Real ID. The Real ID system, anyway, is supposed to be sort of the next name placeholder, essentially, or number placeholder of that will take the place of Social Security numbers down the line. It's a federal government identification number, essentially, that's supposed to take its place. I don't remember what the specificity on it regarding security is, because Social Security numbers are an incremental number, and at some point we're going to run out of them.
Yeah, it also depends on where you're born and stuff like that.
Probably.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things where
so is a cherry.
Dylan, because me and Dylan were born in I guess in the same hospital, Dylan can guess the first 5 digits of my social security number. And it's that's alarming.
Yeah.
That you are an intelligent person and you, without any hard work, and guessed 5 digits of my social. That's insane.
That was like the time I found out my mom and I actually have the same last 4 digits of our social security numbers. Whenever I called I called Charter Communications anyway and tried to ask to, I guess check some settings or something like that, or we were looking to upgrade that kind of thing, but I wasn't old enough to be an admin on the account. And or she told me she had made me an admin on the account, but I wasn't old enough to. So then like they asked, okay, so what's the last 4 digits to your social? So I was like, all right, and I gave mine. They go, okay, all right, cool. And they moved on or whatever. And my mom's like, how did you even get in there? Like they asked for your social security number. How did you know the last 4 digits of mine? I was like, I didn't. I just gave mine. And that's when we realized that the two of us have like the same last 4 digits.
Hold on, your mom didn't realize what your social security number was?
I guess
Like
not.
your entire life didn't realize that was the same?
You may have said, what were those numbers?
Boy.
Yeah, well, he's got protection. He's good.
Yeah.
So,
That's not how that works. No. What was it? You remember
LifeLock guy?
Well, yeah. Well, no. Apparently, he had his identity stolen 7 times after that advertisement ran to the point that they had to shut down all the advertisements because he kept getting his identity stolen.
Wow.
Well, they even ran it and then blurred it out. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Well, he walked around. What was it? New York or something like
That's
that.
a freaking
And, like,
challenge. It's like, come at me, bro. And someone just punched him in the face 7 times.
To your question, though, like, when do we go too far? I mean, we haven't already gone too far. I don't know that we can go any farther. I mean, I'm sure we can with, like, chips embedded in us. But, I mean, I all the time as, like, a paranoid person, I think about, like, cool, I use my fingerprint reader in Samsung. Like, I understand it doesn't actually work this way. But, like, are they, like, storing my fingerprint ID? Like, can this be used later? Can this be sent to records? Oh, cool, you want to do a facial recognition, and like, well, cool, like now your face is stored, and especially if you're with like Apple, who's like super good with like the
because they're using laser projection imaging.
Imaging, they could recreate your face is stored, all kinds of info is being stored about you, and then
Snapchat was originally an FBI facial recognition program.
Oh, that's what Google.
I did not know that.
What was the Google social media thing that ended up Google Plus just ended up being like a algorithm to like detect people's faces?
Yeah, well, that was initially their experiment with it.
Yeah, that's just one of those things where like we're constantly being in this zone anyway. They already have so much info on us. I mean, we can't even within this household, we can't even talk to each other no matter where we're at about topics, and then it gets advertised to the rest of us.
Yeah,
and it's just. I mean,
that's why Brent, I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks ago or whatever, started spouting off about something completely random in the middle of the
straws
show.
Killing turtles. Yeah. But it's just one of the things like we were talking about bare knuckle fighting the other day, and Dylan's looking this stuff up. They're having this conversation. I'm what involved, and then I get on YouTube. My #1 recommended video is bare knuckle fighting. It's like, what? It's like, what is this crap?
that is disturbing on so many levels.
So, I mean, when does it go too far? Has it not gone too far already? Is what I would ask.
Me personally, yeah, I think so. I think that we're screwed.
Well,
if you valid any type of privacy, you might as well just turn off the power to your house.
I'm waiting for smart glasses to become more popular too.
But we've allowed it to
a
happen.
walk-around microphone that's closer to your face.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've allowed it to happen though. I mean, we've gotten to this point, and it's pushed this point that we're just sort of here now. We're comfortable.
Isn't it an allow us to happen thing, or is it just like a natural progression?
Well,
what makes natural though?
But it's a.
What makes it natural? Like we're Americans. We want everything quicker and faster.
Yeah, but we also desire privacy.
But it's a natural progression done with an ill intent behind the scenes.
Or not even that. It's a neglect. It's the fact that these companies are not ready to handle this responsibility, and they don't know how to handle them because of fear of loss of money. And that's the problem. If you took the money out of the factor, I would totally agree with you. But the fact that they have something to lose based on the loss of your ID and you have something to lose, there's a problem.
Yeah.
It's not just giving up privacy at this point. It's like it's causing stress. It's causing time if you have to prove that you didn't make these purchases, or you have to cut up all your credit cards and make completely different bank accounts and then redo everything.
Was it the average recovery time of your social security number and your identity? I think it's because my dad just had to deal with all this too. I think it's like 2 years.
Oh man,
yeah, bro, it's a long
2 years
time
to get your identity back. Not to mention you have to go through extra verification steps as soon as you. Like if you want to apply for something new, you have to like send a letter to the government office. They've got to send you a letter back with a certain time frame of which you can apply for something, but only specifically with a specific company that you're looking to apply with. It's something ridiculous,
and it's not even your fault.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the worst
That's the problem.
part.
You have to struggle because somebody else did it to you, or somebody else mismanaged your information so that somebody could victimize you.
I think that's the biggest thing. Is like you become victimized for something totally out of your control.
And they tell you to deal with it.
Okay, the other side, the accountability. Okay, you have a data breach. Okay, so I can tell you from working for a financial institution that from a security standpoint, especially dealing with sensitive information, that kind of thing, if there's a violation or if we identify a security loophole on our end, we have to close it, as soon as we find it, that kind of thing. Because if we are audited or if somebody internal happens to find that and we do an internal audit based on that, we have to report it on our own. Otherwise, the institution itself can get fined in the neighborhood of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Because, some of that protected information, such as your bank balance, your social security number, that kind of stuff, is like a hardcore big deal whenever you work in finances.
Yeah.
And that's because money's involved. But if that information is stolen, I feel like there's still so little of such a little ramification anyway involved. Even if it's only like 100,000 people that have their information stolen, those 100,000 people have to go through what could potentially be millions of dollars worth of issues. Okay, fine. I can't apply for a car loan. Well, that means I can't buy a car now, and I have other problems that are associated with it.
Or you can't do it on a timely basis because of this. Like,
Right.
I have to move. Oh, well, you're not cleared to make this loan. I have a job to go to. I don't have a choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you are literally stuck and strangled in so many different ways.
Or worse yet now, because rental companies actually require credit checks,
yeah.
which means if they can't pull a credit check from you, they can deny you a rental.
Well, there's soft checks now. They did create the system where it no longer hits you and actually does a hard.
Oh, but still, but even then, like those soft checks can still get denied.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that because the idea is that nobody can check your credit.
Yeah.
Nobody can pull your information other than you, and you have to do it through an official manner. Like literally, your entire credit
I figure
system
hard
is
checks, anything
locked.
that could actually affect the credit score itself, could actually be monitored.
Not necessarily. I mean, like the idea is like if somebody wants to do a soft credit check against your information and try to figure out who you are because they've got your information and try to figure out whether you're worth
Yeah.
running opening a credit card against that kind of thing.
I hope
They can
someone
do that.
steals my identity. They can take my debt with them.
But see that's why I've got credit protection now through OPM, that kind of thing, which is nice because if I want to apply for something new, I get an email that asks me if I want to allow it, and my credit's on a lockdown until that happens. Like I have to respond to the email basically and specifically mark yes, I want to do that.
But Facebook has your email now and accepted it for you.
Good guy. Good guy, Facebook.
But there's just, for something so stupid as Facebook, you were giving up so much. And it doesn't seem like a lot now. It seems like something so minuscule. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it should be a lot, but it is. And
No, I agree.
people need to start recognizing as that, or I feel like we're just going to keep digging a hole even deeper than it already is.
Yeah.
I'm cool. That's awesome that they're coming up with the Real ID thing. I remember seeing it, and I remember them like going forward with it, but I don't know if it's going to become real or it's catching on yet.
My understanding is that the intent is for it to replace social security numbers.
That's awesome because there's no way to change your social security number
Yeah.
without witness protection.
I guess kind of my thoughts on it is I think a lot of things will change. And it may be a few years, unfortunately, but I think a lot of things will change when we start seeing these older senators and congressmen kind of fall out of the system, and then newer people who are, I guess, more on the in side of things come in. Because, like, for me, it's just like when you see like the big Facebook interview with Mark Zuckerberg versus, the government, it's like
very
it's
clear.
tragic. But if you put someone like Mark up there, like Zuckerberg might have to sweat a little bit.
Well, but it's very clear to see that Congress has no idea what they're talking about whenever.
Yeah. So when
They
I
ask
think when we see the
So if I
changing of the
delete a
guard,
picture-
yeah, I think
They're
when we-
senators, they're not tech people. Come on.
No.
exactly when we see the changing of the guard, I think we'll see a lot more
Yeah.
natural prevention of stuff like this. But for now, it's so easily abused.
Yeah.
Because a company messes up and they're just like, Sony messes up and they lose information. It's like, sorry guys.
Here's 1% out of our pocket, and
Yes. Sorry,
we'll pay
guys.
off,
There has to be something in place. I mean, even after this new ID thing catches on, there needs to be other representation or
Well, here-
responsibility taken into account for
You,
this.
you know, for the rest of us down here, there are minimum sentencing laws with drugs, which are arguably less dangerous than your credit
The
information being taken.
marijuana.
Yep.
Right. So let's have minimum sentencing. Not necessarily in somebody has to do prison time, but let's make a minimum financial requirement for a per head basis. Okay,
Oh my God.
you've released the information of 50 or of
100,000 people. You're going to jail for 10 years.
100,000 people, and let's say it costs them $3,000 a head. That's gonna hurt. That's
Yeah.
gonna hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Which means that they're going to tighten up on their responsibility, and if you make them accountable, then they'll make sure that whatever security pieces come into place, are
But it's
correct.
another issue is that we can't even defend ourselves because these companies aren't even reporting it either. It's like Sony
Well,
took forever to report theirs, and Target
under-
and Walmart, they're not even saying anything.
Under FCRA and PCI and the FTC, they're required to report it after a certain amount of time, but the problem is that it's supposed to be done what's considered, I think, in a very loose terminology, under a timely fashion.
Yeah, that's fine, but they only have to
If the
report
invest- but the-
to that spot, and unless you are constantly looking at that spot, you're not going to know what happened.
Well, it's not even that, but I mean, there are outlets that pay attention to that. There are news outlets that pay very
And
close
I
attention.
and
to
I would
that.
argue that it's very important too, like that if it does happen, a breach occurs, their number one priority should be to close the breach before they're like, oh, we got to tell 15 parties about this.
Right, but it
it's like
shouldn't-
close the breach and then
But it
fuck,
shouldn't-
we got
but it
we got to
should-
make a statement.
But it shouldn't take them 6 months to close a breach.
No.
No, I
It
agree.
should take them
Like-
less than
like-
10 minutes.
Like Amazon did whenever they found out like so much of their credit card information. had
Well,
been
yeah.
taken.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know way more about this, but I imagine like the larger scale a company gets, you're like, honestly, like we don't even know how they got in. They're researching it. They're trying to figure out like what happened because at all times they're gonna feel like they're good until they're exposed.
yeah.
So if that's
Yeah.
the case, then they see this is where an internal audit should come in from an actual tech company. Like there should be third party companies to do this kind of security audit, and it should almost be a requirement. Like you, let's say, have a licensure program for these third party audit companies that have to come in and do security audits.
yeah.
They come in and do a security audit, or better yet, after a breach happens, these third party companies come in and do an audit and say, we can't determine where or how this happened because the logging information or the reporting is insufficient and we can't figure this out. You're not meeting certain standards. So we're going to go ahead and deny you the ability to conduct business until this happens.
Yeah.
Sounds logical to me.
Sounds like they're going to get, or they're going to get presented with a giant fine that says, one, you have to pay a per head basis now because you've released this information. Two, you were not up to snuff with, compliance. So we're going to fine you for that too.
Or you
'Cause
just Amazon and kick everybody around and
'cause-
say, I dare you.
Because I mean, you can't necessarily just tell them, okay, we can't. Because now that I think about it, you can't really just tell them, okay, we can't let you conduct business because that does affect the general public.
Yeah.
No, but
But-
at the same time, like you should be able to hinder them from causing more damage.
I imagine
but-
like a restaurant that doesn't meet like sanitation score,
But you could say, okay, you have to lock this down today or by this particular time, date and time to make this happen. And then they just and then if it's done in an internal fashion, there's no public announcement about it. There's no information that gets leaked that says, hey, this particular loophole is available on Amazon right now and won't be fixed for the next week. Go for it. Like that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, just like a restaurant. If they have a bad sanitation score, you don't know what happened. It's just they're like, hey, you really screwed up. We're going to be back in 2 days, and this better be better, or we're shutting the whole thing down.
Right.
Yep.
And I actually, I
Meanwhile,
can get behind
50,
that.
100 people just got food poisoning.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the idea is you can't like
No
conduct
joke.
business till
There
you
was a
fix
guy
it.
that told me about this place. He loved eating there. They saw him bring a deer from out the back door.
Hey,
It wasn't
what?
for food in the restaurant. They were just cleaning and skinning it and everything else for their home.
But still, you're supposed to already have skinned it and cleaned it
It gets
outside.
it gets better. This is an Asian restaurant, by the way, and like up north. I'm not gonna be mean. The and they were also like cutting up like potatoes and stuff on the ground out back of the facility.
It was like the time I walked into a McDonald's right after breakfast or right at the end of breakfast, and they had a plastic tarp laid out across the floor with burgers on it thawing.
I like it, bro.
I looked at that. I said, "That's not sanitary." And the dude says, "I know." He says, "It's what my manager told me to do." I said, "Tell him that's unsanitary.
Just take a picture
Tell
and
him
be
that.
like,
Tell him that's illegal." Camera phones weren't a thing at that point, unfortunately.
Oh,
Anywho, it sounds like we're on agreement. I think we're on the right track of, companies should definitely be held responsible for this. So
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, let us know what you think in
Yeah.
the comments below.
yeah, leave us a comment
Above.
below. I mean, below, Brent.
I'm Mark.
Leave us a comment. Leave us a comment. In the description below. I'm just confusing everybody right now. We'd love to hear what you think. If you have some sort of other opinion, I guess, in the other direction of, like how else should maybe these companies be held responsible, or what are your feelings? Do you feel secure already?
Or
We'd
even
love to
about
hear
the
from
other
you.
stuff, especially involving Epic and Steam.
Yeah.
I think you guys call it.
Yeah, Steam and Epic.
Yeah, we're down for any discussion, as you can tell.
Yeah. Or hit us up on Twitter.
Yeah.
Our handles will be down in the description.
Maybe.
Well, I
No,
guess
they
that
are.
leads us right into last call.
Oh, wait, it's me.
We don't
You don't
have
have to
any
go.
shows.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Do you have any shout-outs this week?
Shot.
I don't have anything in the list here.
I can make up some shout outs. So we have Xphobia, who's still on a good grind. We shout out him all the
How many
time.
subs is he up to? I tried looking last week and I couldn't find.
It's over 1,000, isn't it?
No, yeah, it's like 1 million or something like
Yeah.
that. Bro, he's popping off.
All right, I'll have to look it up. I'll throw his information.
Let's see,
down
another
as well.
strange guy, Colby. I think it's CTM underscore TV is
Yeah,
what his stream.
yeah.
He just recently streamed the other day, so he's starting to remember what the go live button does. So we'll have him do that. We have our game of the month going on right now, which was chosen by former podcast member Dylan. It is Borderlands 2 this month. So I think it'd be great if you guys have anything on that. Just jump into it, leave comments about your ideas of it.
Yep.
We're gonna be playing through it all month. I'm streaming it, Dylan's streaming it. So be a good
Also,
time.
shout out to the hostess with the mostest, Queen Crystal, for completing the first season of Strange Challenges.
Yeah, bro, that's awesome. Did you watch the new video? Dude, it's hot. There's one dude, and he's ridiculous. I don't understand. He just keeps spinning on a board and shooting people. I don't
Oh,
know.
dude, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to see it yet today, but
You should check it out, man.
hell yeah.
And so should you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
You should check it out. Link in the description.
Dude, just watch it for the challenges, because, man, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
All right,
podcast.
So I suppose we'll step into our question of the week here, which actually I think was posed by the actual Brent, unless one of you guys posted this.
It was Brent.
No spread.
Rest in peace, Brent.
If you could have been raised anywhere in the world aside from where you were, where would it be?
John, why don't you start us
Why
off?
don't you start us off?
I wrote the Playboy Mansion. He wasn't specific as if it was a country or not. Exactly.
I could see little John now.
I want you today.
Oh Lord.
But if I was to choose somewhere I would want to be, it almost seem it's where I want to retire. So I love Ireland. I love everything about Ireland. I love the people. I love the weather. I love the greenery. Even the slight smell of poo everywhere because all they have is farmland everywhere. I love that country for everything that it is. Food, people. I totally think I would be a better person as if I was born there.
Interesting. Okay.
I wouldn't have my, American ideas of food and gorging myself on burgers all the time. They would actually have cold breakfasts and balanced meals. It'd be great. But I know I really enjoy that lifestyle that it provides. So
That's awesome.
Mark you up.
So I was just thinking about this. So like my parents always gave me stories about what it was like for them growing up in the city.
okay,
So for that, like I almost wanted majority of my family's from Philadelphia. I always wondered what it would be like to grow up in the city of Philadelphia, not like out in the country like I did, that kind of thing. Just in the city, where when you're younger, you can take your bicycle. When you're old enough, anyway, you can take your bicycle out. You can ride all the way around town, out to a certain distance or whatever, with your friends, that kind of thing, and just do whatever around town. It wasn't, like as opposed to where I was. I'd see my friends at school, and then I'd go home, and I couldn't really do a whole lot unless there was somebody in my neighborhood, because to go to a friend's house, I'd have to have my mom drive me to go somewhere, and it would have to be like a big thing of like, okay, I'm going to drop you off and pick you up at this time and that kind of thing, or you're going to go there, stay the night, go to school, and I'll pick you up from school or take the bus or something like that, It was just sort of an extra hassle, but if I lived in the city, you'd take the bus to go to and from school, or, you'd ride your bike to school, and then, you'd ride your bike after school and do whatever, that kind of thing, come home afterwards, for dinner and all that. Like, so for me, like, that would have been a much more social experience anyway, like, growing up in a city.
there you go. I
Awesome.
like that. I like it a lot.
Yeah, mine is kind of like Mark's. It's like nowhere specific. I already kind of grew up in like a small country town, but like I would prefer to grow up in a smaller town.
Oh, maybe.
But I wouldn't like change anything about my
Do they have
experience there.
electricity?
Well, I mean, I'm indifferent,
Internet?
but mine is just more of like,
Cell service?
I mean, like realistically, I just want to answer, but like I wouldn't change anything about where I grew up. I think that, like for me as a person, I grew up in the perfect area. But if the town was smaller, like it would be easier to hang out with more people and to socialize more. Where
Yep.
that was where I really lacked growing up a good bit, like outside of school. But like just the idea of like I got to see people from various walks of life. I got to see people, blessed with a lot of money, and I got to see people with little to no money. So you really just, for me, it's like being the person I am. Like I can really understand and jive with people from all sides of the spectrum now. I grew up in like a predominantly white environment, so like maybe a bit of mix of more culture would be cool. Just so like I can really understand where other people come from like that. But otherwise, I mean, just a small town, diverse people. I mean, that'd be perfect for just who I am. So
The good old American dream.
exactly, the melting pot.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of I kind of agree with that. Like, and that's another reason why I actually like Ireland is that it's a lot less technical than it is here in Charlotte. It's very much more like internet's super low. Like it's not important to them. I don't even think you'd be able to stream a video game on most of those things unless
Because you're just drinking whiskey.
Yeah, baby. See me at the Jameson factory every other week, running them down on them old fashions.
All right, guys. Well, let us know down in the description above, that where you would like to have grown up rather than where you are. Just let us know where you were growing up and, that kind of thing so we can stalk you.
And then also feel free to suggest next
we can
week's
really get to know you.
question to ask the cast.
Yeah,
Anything
absolutely.
you would like for them to answer. Whether,
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Bring it.
Ooh, yeah.
Anything.
And as always, feel free to reach out to any of the wonderful hosts on the podcast here. You can reach out to me, the dispatcher, or actually him, the dispatcher, on Twitter at Duffreak at DUHFR33K, Handsome John at Handsome John P, and well, I guess I could just put me or him. Who's Tumbleweed here?
He could be two
this
people.
guy.
There you go.
THC. You should reach out to Theodore Harrington Collinsworth III at Tumbleweed TV, or me, Jesterhead himself. I'm literally reading this from a script that he typed. at Jesterhead0302. Also, don't be afraid to reach out to us in the comments below, and we're always open to a good conversation.
Oh yeah.
Just in case you
even
noticed.
if you just want to reach out to play some video games, hit me up on PSN. Keep it Lone Wolf. Spelled as is.
I'll throw that in the description below as well. And I guess we'll talk to you next week.
Adios, guys.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.
This is straight up fun to do sometimes. Well, I guess we need to call in a ringer. Capley!
I can hear him fapping from here.
Boy, get in here.
Wash your hands, get in here.
Sorry, guys. I was putting the lotion on the skin. What's up?
Is it the extra hydrating kind?
Yes. Ironically.
The extra lubricating kind.
Ironically.
Oh, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. It's good to be back in this seat. What happened? Do you realize I'm better? Is that what it is? Finally?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure.